streaming. Okay. All right, gotta get the music up and running, and then we should be good to go. It's a bit loud, definitely a bit loud. How's that for that? Still a bit loud. Okay, that should be good to go. All right, guys. Hold on, let me adjust my setup real quick, just a tad bit. Forgot to move one thing over. Got some glass bottles on my desk. I need to move those over here first. I do really need to clean my desk again. All right, welcome to the live stream today, guys. Today is the third part in our who knows how many long part series of building this rocket. This is the remains, at least. It broke some when it landed, but then I broke it more just to do as a stress test. But this is the remains of Star and Stripe, the American rocket that we've been building over the course of the past few weeks on the channel. You can see right there, it's got Air Dragon Labs 1776, 2026, 250th anniversary. And the whole idea is that you've got these nice star fins with named Star and Stripe, American colors, red, white, and blue. So it's in pretty beat up condition right now just because of what happened after it flew. If you guys saw the live stream on, I think it was last Thursday, it was kind of a doozy, but the rocket lifted off the pad, and I can show you in a second. The rocket lifted off the pad. The sims say that the 3 E16 motors I used should have been strong enough to take it to 800 feet. That unfortunately did not happen. So it lifted off the pad. Right as it got off, it started arcing, and then it fell. It just was not moving fast enough to fly, so it just fell to the ground, and unfortunately it sustained almost no damage except for the one of the fins breaking. But then I broke a second fin, and then I stress tested it to see just how strong the connection points were, and I learned quite a few things. So today I'm going to be giving some updates on Air Dragon Labs business and stuff, and then also I will be doing the fixation. I don't think that's a word, but we're going to fix up the model in CAD, in Fusion, and yeah. So first on the list of things is that Mini Starlance is almost ready to launch as a product. I flew it up while I was in the UP, and it flew amazingly. Unfortunately, I didn't get it back. That's why this one isn't painted. The other one was painted, obviously. And then when I flew it, I didn't get it back, so this one's not painted. I have to paint it still. But once I get the product packaging for this rocket done, and then also all the promotional art and things then this rocket kit will be available. My goal is to launch the kit on my website and on Etsy. So on Aero Dragon Labs on July 18th. That is a Saturday. So definitely check out the website on July 18th. In fact, go to the website right now. It's aerodragonlabs.com. I'll send it in the chat. But go to the website now. Check out all of our amazing things. We've got all kinds of stuff on the website. In fact, the next update is about parachutes, which we recently... I had a bunch of 12-inch parachutes from Top Flight Recovery stocked, but we just got a bunch of more parachutes from Top Flight Recovery. So we now have 36-inch parachutes in stock. They're all neon orange, so we've got 36-inch chutes. That's another 36-inch chute. We've got 18-inch chutes, and then 24-inch chutes, and a bunch of 12-inch chutes. Yeah, so we got plenty of 12-inch chutes. Those are for our mini rockets. Not mini rockets. I lied. We've got 12-inch chutes, and then we also have streamers. The streamers are for the mini rockets. So this is a 1-inch by 36-inch streamer. That's for mini rockets like Mini Starlance and Mini Zenith Express. Then we have 12-inch parachutes, which are for the normal size models like Zenith Express and stuff. We've got 18-inch parachutes, which aren't recommended on any of the Aero Dragon Labs kits, but I stock them just in case you guys might need them. Then we have 24-inch chutes, which are used on some of Aero Dragon Labs rocket kits, but they're also for you guys. And then we've got 36-inch chutes, which is what I use on the Mega Zenith Express kits. And then I still need to get in stock some 4-foot chutes, but that's a ways away. But 4-foot chutes and 5-foot chutes is for the Ultra Zenith Express. So yeah, I don't actually remember what we recommend to be the chute size for a Ultra Zenith Express rocket kit, but I can't. But it is on the website. Here, you know what? Let's go check. Let us check. So we go aerodragonlabs.com. Rocket kits, high power. We've got Skyforge, we've got Mega Zenith, and Ultra Zenith. Mega Zenith uses 36-inch chutes. As for the 36 to 48. I wouldn't recommend using a 36-inch chute on this rocket. Definitely, it's way too heavy for that. It should definitely at least be a 48-inch chute. I think, yeah, 48-inch. I would even go up to 56-inch, I think. So that's 4 feet. 48 inches is 4 feet. You could go up to 5 feet, even 6 feet if you want to be careful. But definitely would not go with 36-inch. I should change that. All right, the next item on the agenda is the fin fillet tools. So like I mentioned, I've posted a short about this, but we have our fin fillet tools in new packaging. So I need to get some stickers printed off for them, but they're in these nice heat shrink bags. These are the I believe these are the large and small tri-fillet tools, and then we've got the double tools, and then we've got some everything packs that have both the doubles and the tri-fillets. So those are for sale on aerodragonlabs.com. The parachutes are for sale on aerodragonlabs.com. All the rocket kits are certainly for sale on aerodragonlabs.com. Mini Starlance will be available on July 18th, ideally, unless anything goes wrong with that. And then, yeah, let's move on to the actual goal of this live stream. That is Star and Stripe. So I actually accidentally closed Fusion, so let me open that back up. And then check chat while that loads. All right, no chat messages yet. I'm going to check, see if we have any active viewers. Concurrent viewers, 1 viewer. Okay. Give me 1 second. Gotta announce that I'm live. Share the live stream. Copy that link. Go over here and there. There we go. All right. So, all right, we can move to this and open Fusion. Never mind, it wants me to sign in. So hold on. Sorry, this is a bit of trouble. I don't know why it wants me to sign in. That's annoying, but I'll get it sorted. Yep. This one. Restore, close, sign in. Nope. Actually, wait. Tab. Continue. Nope. This one. Over here. Next. I believe it's going to make me, yep. Sign in with my authenticator. The security at Fusion is pretty good. Almost to a fault, but wonderful. Now it's actually signed in. Okay. All right, I've got a spreadsheet. It's loading still. Of course, it's still loading, but y'all can see it load. I have a document with all of the notes that I have on the things we need to do. Firstly, we need to move the centering holes a little bit farther apart. Once you add centering rings to the motors, they are a bit hard to actually get on there. You can see here, which is another weird phenomenon about this engine. 2 of the nozzles just blew up, so I wonder if the motors weren't actually to spec. Anyways, you can see here that there is a little bit. You can see that some things happened. So when I glued the thrust rings onto the motors, I put them down on a alcohol wipe because alcohol dissolves this glue that I use, so it doesn't glue to the table. Unfortunately, cardboard absorbs water, and so they swelled. The very ends of the tube swelled. I don't know what word that would be, but they got bigger, and so then you couldn't put them in all the way, which then caused me a little bit of issues. But anyways, the centering rings the holes are too close together to fit all of the thrust rings, so I need to move those farther apart. That way, when you glue on your handy dandy thrust rings, or you use the thrust rings that the motor comes with, then you're good to go. Aerotech motors come with thrust rings, but Estes motors do not, which is why I always glue on a thrust ring, because it just simplifies things a lot. Then you don't have to have an aero pack, and you can fit any length of motor. Alright, so Fusion is open. Gotta open the file. Star and stripe. Alright, we should be good to go now. Yep, okay. Gotta turn back on all of the things that I had turned off, and turn off these sketches. Alright, this is Star and Stripe. So the first thing we need to do is, again, those center rings. We need to get those fixed. Then we need to take the tip of the nose right here. This should be painted white. But the tip of the nose is white, right? So unfortunately that leads to, when I swap the filament, there's a weak spot between the white and the red. So I need to strengthen this bond right here internally. That way we don't lose any, we don't lose the tip, right? So that's the second thing. We need to make the colored rings. So here you can see that I 3D printed out colored rings instead of trying to paint them on. That way you get exactly 13 stripes. This is 13, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 13. I can never remember if it's 13 or 14 stripes. That's my own bad, but somebody mixed me up. And then from then on, I haven't been able to remember if it's 13 or 14. Anyways, so you can see how there's a bit of a diameter difference between the white and the red stripes, which is annoying, at least to me. So what I'm going to do from now on is print red stripe, white stripe, red stripe, white stripe, red stripe, white stripe. That way they're all the same diameter. In order to get 13 stripes on a 17-inch tube, you have to do some funny number. It's like, I think it's like 1.373 or something. It's not an easy not a great number. So that's number 2, or that's number 3. Then we need to make the stars on the fins a little bit better. Right now, there's just so many stars and so many big stars that the fin is really weak. So we need to remove some of the small ones and then make some of them overall smaller. And then finally, we need to increase the strength of the connector. So how I broke this rocket, like I said, when it landed, it only busted up one of the fins, right? So I was basically just throwing it in the air and letting it come crashing down, or like spinning around like I was holding the length of the shot cord and swinging it around like the hammers they use for Olympic hammer throwing. I was doing that with it and throwing it as high in the air as I could, and then letting it smash onto the ground, and then also smashing it onto the ground myself. So I broke a second fin, which is obviously why we need to strengthen those. And then it snapped right here. This used to be like this, and it snapped. So I need to strengthen this connector, and then I'll strengthen the part that connects right here just for good measure. That said, this is a 3-inch part, so this is going to be much stronger than this 54 millimeter part. So that's all of the things we have to do, and let's get started. My goal is to, let's see, I've been streaming for 18 minutes already, so my goal is to be done around 10:30. I don't want to stream too late today, so back to CAD. My first task that needs to be done is, I believe it is the centering ring holes. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know why it's like that. What is the difference between... I don't know why I have a nose and then a second nose. They're identical, aren't they? Of course they are. Of course they're identical. Okay. Great. That's one issue. Alright, I guess we can... When do we make this copy? It appears never in the timeline, so we will just delete that, I guess. And it didn't even exist in the timeline. Okay, great. So, now we go centering rings, and I apparently did something that made them completely filled. Great. Okay. Now we backtrack. So these are reference sketches for, yeah, everything is equal and concentric for exporting to laser cutting, which means the original sketches are fine, maybe. Okay, that's this extrude. I don't know why I'm extruding those at all. Why does this extrude exist? What if I just delete it? Okay, I think I just deleted by accident the oh, I bet you no. I think what I'm supposed to do is these are supposed to be centering rings are supposed to be turned off, so it gives me 3 new bodies, which are the fins, or the what about 1, 2, 3? Yeah, that's correct, I believe. Okay. I don't know why they're not hollow. So we're gonna go circle, circle, circle. Make that one concentric. All right, so we need to make this concentric to this. Oh, to this one. And then when we set the diameter, this one, the outer one is already diametered to... It's already set as the correct diameter, right? So if we just set this circle as 0.5 millimeters from the outer diameter, then we will have a tube that will change diameter as we change diameter, right? So now this extrude, if I were to ever go back into the father or the mother sketch, which is the sketch that holds the it holds the data for the diameter of the holes in the centering ring, then I can say, okay, then the program will say, okay, you changed the mother diameter, which means these are linked directly to it, so therefore you must have also wanted to change these, and then it'll change the diameter of these. And obviously, since I just made them hollow, now they're just motor mount tubes. Let me check chat. What's 13? What is 13, chat? I don't know what 13 is, but okay. "13, you say?" Yeah, I don't know what 13 is, but okay. Good to know. But yeah, so those are the tubes, and now if we turn off analysis, you can see that we've got 3 tubes in there, and then when we turn the centering rings back on, we've got our centering rings back. Perfect. I'm going to change the appearance of these to be wood colored just so that I don't mess anything up. And open the Fusion library. And let's go a nice oak. Perfect. Now when we turn off this centering ring, the ash centering ring, we are left with that. And then we'll also make this oak. Perfect. Those are both oak. Now when we turn on analysis, we see 2 oak centering rings with 3 cardboard tubes. We've got this layer, which is the This is the booster tube. This is a 3-inch diameter tube that's 8 inches long. Then we have the 3 motor mount tubes, obviously, and then the body tube up here, which is a 54 millimeter tube from Lock Precision. Then I believe, so that's all good. Close that. Now we have a rocket. So that's done. That's fixed. That was an error that I didn't even know was there. Oh, yeah, it's 13 stripes. Yes, I know it's 13 stripes. That's what that meant. There's 13 stripes on the rocket, and I have it right. I just, somebody told me it was 14 one time, and I was like, I don't know which this is. And I didn't know if it was 13 or 14, so now I always second guess myself. But it is 13 stripes. I'm pretty sure it's to represent the original 13 colonies. I don't know. I'm not a flag guy. You could ask my brother. What were you saying, BMP? It looks way different than it did before. Yeah, so the last live stream, or the original live stream, I only got so far. I think the original live stream I probably got to maybe like here-ish. So this is what it looks like within the original live stream at the end of it. But then I continued modeling in order to get us to about like right here. And so, well, actually to the end. So that's what I've got now. And then that's what it looks like IRL. Yeah. So now we just have to change it a tad bit more, but it should retain the main theme, or actually it will retain the theme, otherwise it wouldn't be the same rocket. Anywho, so move the centering rings. All right, turn that back on. Now we need to go back into the sketch that holds the centering rings. If we go into sketches, we can see I have these labeled as, those are the sketches that we export for the laser cutting. So I need to go back and find the sketch that is originally for creating. There we go. That's the sketch I used to create it. That is the sketch that I used to make the holes for the where the holes go to motor retention. That's the word. But I'm going to make those go out a decent bit farther. Let's go 55. That's too much. 50. We'll try 50. That's still actually, that's probably about good, because you can use Z-clips instead of just washers. But maybe I'll keep it at 45. So this is 40 millimeter spacing. If I send it out too much more, then that is in actuality, maybe we should keep it where it is for now. You see, right now this line measures 40 millimeters. But I could change it obviously to 45 or 50. Let's see where the centering rings themselves, the circles, look. Oh, what did I do? Okay. All right, that is, I believe, the top sketch. That is that sketch. Here's the whole sketch. So theoretically, when I change this, it should not break everything. It's set to 35 right now. We want it to be a decent bit closer here. That way there's more space in between them. So let's try 40. See, that's very close. So we want there to be a little bit of room. So let's go 39. It won't matter too much about the strength of this right here, because it's going to be all glued into the motor. And the rigidity between the tubes and the center rings is what will hold it together, not the initial thing. But that is 4 millimeters, 38. That's too low. Yeah, so let's keep it at 39. I know it looks really close right there. That's about probably a 1 millimeter gap, seeing as how 40 is touching. But it'll be very strong. It'll be weak before you actually put it together. Well, at least those edges will be. But there's also this whole room right here that also will help strengthen it. So hopefully, if I model this right, it shouldn't break anything. Of course, it says it broke something in sketch 14. I believe that's probably this. No, 14 is an art design. Okay, that doesn't matter then. Gonna check chat again. Yeah, you're like the 34th person that has said the name should be Stars and Stripes instead of Star and Stripe, which I have mixed feelings about. Star and Stripe is the name of a character that I really like. And Stars and Stripes, I'm undecided. So obviously the name for a rocket isn't necessarily supposed to be the name for something else. Like, you can have random ridiculous names. Like, my rockets names are Zenith Express and Starlance. Star and Stripe, I feel like, kind of fits that vibe better than Stars and Stripes. I don't know that Stars and Stripes actually fits the vibe of a rocket well. I've also thought about just not having that text there at all and letting them name the rocket whatever they want, because they can obviously name it other things. I'm undecided. What do you guys think? That makes sense. But yeah. So I guess I should probably change it to Stars and Stripes. That said, do you guys think I should leave the text here, or I should just completely remove it? That way they can name the rocket whatever they want. Because if I leave it blank, then they can name it American Pride or Guns or literally whatever they want. And then I won't be restricting what they name it. I don't know. But you're right. I guess I should probably change it to that. Another thing I've been told is that with Aerodragon Labs here, it makes it look like this is the 250th anniversary of Aerodragon Labs, even though it's kind of pretty obvious that it's not. But thoughts on that, I suppose. Okay, so see, it moves the tubes outward as well as the rings there. In this case, I think I actually need to bring these in some, because they're really far out there. And I think me doing that kind of made it a little bit worse. If I can open the bloody sketch. So let's go 35 and try that. I feel like that's really close. Like, really close. Because if you think about a motor, let's see what the typical diameter of an Aerotech 29 millimeter rocket engine thrust ring. So obviously mine are pretty thick. I think mine is probably my thrust rings are 36, almost 37 millimeters in diameter. And I might shrink them down. I just wanted there to be a lot of purchase. But they're almost 36 inches. The Aerotech ones are only 32 inches, or 32 millimeters, not inches. What am I saying? So if we go back into this sketch and we make a piece of reference geometry, that would be circle X. Find the center right there. And we can constrain this diameter to be 32.5, I believe it was. 32.2. So change that to be 32.2. You can see the diameter of their thrust rings versus the diameter of my thrust rings, which are 37, almost 38. So that's really close. And if you add another one, then that's almost too close. So I'm going to change this back to 40. Leave it how I had it original. That way they're close enough, but they're not too close. Additionally, this is for if I want to use a washer. I believe the diameter of the washers that I was using are about 10 millimeters. So we can model that by doing circle, leaving on that, this, 10. So that is right there. That doesn't even get to this circle, but it does get to that circle. I don't know how that would fare with a Z-clip though. So we try moving it in some. It definitely takes all of that, but it doesn't do the other one. The circle on this hole, again, 10 millimeters, does nothing. It gets that one, but not the other one. So another thing that I'm thinking is A, Z-clips, but B, fender washers. So I've got these larger washers that are a bigger diameter. The M8 washers are 10 millimeter, but these ones are 17 millimeter. The bigger ones I have on there. So I've got a 10 and then a 17. The 17 would definitely, yeah, the 17 takes over plenty. Trying to decide whether or not I should just go with Z-clips or, see, 17 is fine there. And if we move this back to 45, it barely clips that edge. But if we go Z-clips, that's washers. If we get a Z-clip, which looks like this, y'all should be able to see this still, correct? Yep, great. So this is a Z-clip versus a normal washer. If we leave this in the same spot and we put this here, that is way too close. So if it was over there, that would be fine. That would hold it down pretty well. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. So the washer barely gets those motors, but on an Aerotech motor, it would be fine. Or the opposite, I guess. If this is here, that is not going to get those any day of the week, right? That's way too much. So, but if we move it back here, if I don't drop it, a Z-clip is like this. So you bolt down this side, that way the Z goes on top of the thrust ring. So if you have it like this, you would ideally want it to be on top of it like that, right? If it's right here, it's not going to be able to go on top of it because it's so close. If you move it back some, then it can go on top of it, but I don't know about the width. I don't know if the width will be able to gain both of those. I guess you could move it to one side to get one, and then you've got three, so one gets each. I feel like Z-clips are more widely used than washers are by a long shot. Like they're a staple of you either basically have a Z-clip or you have a thrust or washer. No, Aeropack. That's the word. Yeah, I think we'll try it spaced out. So let's send this to 50. Delete this reference circle. Delete this reference and this reference. What does 55 look like? Yeah, 55 is good, I think, because then it can swivel over to this one to... Oh, I forgot to turn it back so you guys can see. My bad. 55 is good because then it can swivel over right here to get this one. This can swivel to here, and this one can swivel to here. And then the center one can get whichever. So I think we'll try that. that also will increase the overall strength of the centering ring and not rely on this. It'll make this less bad. So so this centering is good now. I need to check the other centering ring. So turn off aft, turn off. Oh, not that button. Don't need the nose, don't need the transition, or the fin can, or reference. So yeah, that looks fine. This hole worked pretty well for the eye bolt, and overall that worked really well. So you can see the assembly go together like this. You've got your main body tube, and then you've got your forward centering ring, your aft centering ring, and then your 3 motor mount tubes. Then you'll have an eye bolt that goes in this hole right here, and then you'll just glue this whole assembly into that. Then you will glue this assembly into the fin can assembly, which is like this, and then you will glue on the transition assembly, which is already glued together, which glues in right like that. Then once you have the tube and the nose cone, you're all set. So that checks off the first thing on my to-do list, which I need to add another thing to change the wording to say either nothing or stars and stripes. Alright, the next one, that's the most complicated one. The next one should be pretty simple. Except for the wording. The wording is going to be difficult, but you can see there isn't quite enough clearance right here. So what I'm going to do is go back into the sketch that holds the nose cone. I believe it's somewhere over here. Yep, there we go. So we're going to rename this as nose cone just for future purposes so we can go back. I'm going to set this length to be 3 millimeters. Actually, we'll set it to be 3.5. That way it goes even farther. 3.5. And then when we reload it, it should be proper like. Yep, perfect. All right, so now the white is fully encompassed by the nose cone meat, and it should be good. That said, I'm gonna go just give it a little bit more. We'll go up to 4 millimeters. And that should be good. That checks off another thing. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave. We'll give it a name. So that one's done. All right, now we gotta alter the rings. So I have 2 models of this because I was using a non-lock precision tube, so I had to make 2 models. That way I could change the dimensions to actually fit my tube and set while I wait for the lock tubes. And in order to do that, that means I didn't actually do the 3D modeling of these rings, right? So we need to go back to Aerotech's website. Not Aerotech, Lock Precision's website. Go to their component section, go back to Fusion. We will turn off analysis, make a new sketch, side plane. We want a box like that. We're going to set the box diameter to be 0.9 millimeters. That's actually 0.81 millimeters. That's the diameter of 2 of my print nozzles because I use 0.4 nozzles on this printer for the most part. Then we will make this parallel with the bottom of the tube and set the height to be a number that is 13 inches divided, or no, my bad. 17 inches divided by 13 stripes. That gives us 33.215 millimeters, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's why. It's because I didn't actually update the stripe pattern on this one. This rocket has the wrong stripe pattern. That's why it looks different. That explains quite a bit, actually. So I need to go update that real quick. Like I said before, I had 2 parallel designs. And I got most of it done, and then I branched them apart. And on the other branch, I changed the number of stripes, but I guess I did not change them on this branch. So if y'all noticed that a while ago, that would be my bad. So again, the equation we're going to use is 17 inches divided by 13 stripes, which gives me that distance. And then we need to set the length of the stripes to 13 as well. Unfortunately, that makes the stripes too small. So again, we have to go back and do 17 inches divided by 13 stripes. And we get the right length for all of those stripes. Actually, I'm doing one step too many. We can delete that, go back into the sketch we were just in, set the diameter, where did I set the distance? Yes, the diameter. So now we go back to lock precision, we go to cardboard airframes, we go to the 54 millimeter airframe, we take the outer diameter 2.260D in inches. We go back here, we take our fancy little equations. If I can open that constraint. Oh, did I put it? Wait, what? Okay, I messed up that somehow. So we're going to go dimension from here to the center line. We're going to go parentheses the diameter of the motor of the tube that we're going to be using. Then we will divide that by 2 because we're going radius, not diameter. Then we will do, so that'll give us the exact edge of the tube that this is. Then we'll do a plus, another parentheses, we will do, that'll be in inches. My bad, this is inches. Then we go over to this parentheses and we do 0.15 millimeters. Actually 125 millimeters, because that's exactly the tolerance we want. See, now it moved that to 28.827, which is exactly that amount above the tube, which, including for the bulge at the bottom where it connects to the bed and the overall intolerances of 3D printing, that'll give us a perfect thing. Now we can go out and go back, delete the sketch that we made before because we don't need that anymore. Then we go back in time to where I revolved those. If I can find it. Oh, I forgot. Wait, no, I did do it right. What? Yeah, no, I forgot to change the diameter. My bad. This should be set to 0.81 millimeters again, which is the correct diameter. Now I need to remember what sketch I'm actually in here. This is sketch 9. Okay, that's helpful. Sketch 9 is the, I don't want to open it. I want to rename it. Sketch 9 is the rings sketch. Or the stripe sketch, rather. Then we can, again, delete that sketch we made the first time because we don't need that. We go back to click stripes. It highlights it right there. We see which revolve it is. We can go back and deselect every other revolve because we don't need all of them. We do need all of them. We just need, for this revolve, we only want half of them. I believe there is 7, right? How many red stripes on the American flag? It is 7, yep. So in order to do this properly, we want the bottom and the top to be red. So these all need to be red. New bodies, yippee. Okay, that makes a ton of bodies, but we'll deal with those in a second. It's got to compute for a second, then we will go back in time to where that sketch took place. Stripes sketch, that's all the way back there, so we'll just go back in time. That way it doesn't have to compute as much at once. See, it simplifies the design back to there in the timeline. And then we can color the entire body of this tube. Oh. Appearance. That to remove the faces. Perfect, that's all white. Now we have to color each of these bodies red. Move. 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 Remove. And remove. Okay. It's not steel though. Okay, whatever. Alright, those are the red stripes, and now actually I have a theory. Okay, so it is red on top and red on bottom, so never mind. I was gonna say we could change it so that it goes white, red, white, red, white, red. No, wait, no, that's not what I was thinking. That is right. I'm tripping. What I was saying is we should change the nose cone so that it has a white nose with a red tip. Theoretically, that way it's still alternating. Unless we just want to keep it red and then one white. I don't know. That kind of adds more stripes to it, but we could make that blue actually. How would it look with more blue? Bodies change. Okay, that's not bad. What do we think about having that more blue? I feel like that's too much blue. I feel like this bottom should be blue with white, and this should be not blue. So, we'll see. Now we need to revolve again. The same sketch. Turn it back on. And we're going to revolve the opposite ones this time. Like this. That way we're left with 13 stripes that look continuous without having to change anything. And we will select the axes as the center axis. In order to do that, we turn off bodies, select the center axis, turn back on the bodies. We go new bodies, select, and we go appearance, change it to white, grab the white, and bada bing, bada boom. We've got white stripes that all match in continuity. Now we can turn the sketch back off. Stripe sketch back off, turn that off. Now we rename, first we move all of them into a group. We create a group called stripes. And then we select all of the stripes. That's body 16 through 28. We take them and move them into that folder. Now we can hide all 13 stripes with the push of a button. Bada bing, bada boom. Now we have a few issues that have presented themselves. The continuity is an error right here. That's going to cause drag and make it look bad in general. Make the whole nose blue. Do you think that's too much blue? Because we have this entire blue section here. Let me forward this to present day. That way we see all the text and everything. Compute, please, faster. Here is with it how it is now. And then here is if we change the entire body to be blue. The entire nose to be blue. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but I'm undecided. I don't know. I'll let it sit like that for a bit, and then we can circle back to that. The thing I was saying is continuity error, though. So in the nose sketch, we need to go back, and first we need to get the diameter of this. So inspect this diameter, and the diameter is 59.274. 59.274. So we go back to nose cone. We go 59.274. We get... Of course I had to do it that way. Okay, delete that. Delete that. We go line from here to here. We take this. Oh. Window. Why is it selecting? Oh my goodness. Why is it glitched out like this? I'm gonna crash Fusion. Oh my goodness. I just want to select. Why? Why? If you change the top of it to red and white, then it changes the amount of stripes that you have on the rocket, yeah? If you make the nose cone red and change all of your stripes, the opposite alternator removes the bottom stripe. Then it's another continuity error. Okay, there we go. Now it stopped. Okay, go back into the nose cone sketch. Now I don't remember what the diameter was. Inspect. 59.274. Okay, dimensions here. You. 59.274 divided by 2. And then we just make it parallel to this. So what is the unchanged dimension now? There, no. Ah, that's what it was. I made this parallel to that. So what's this now? Okay. I make that vertical. Okay, why is that not blue still? I think I made these parallel. No? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, those should be parallel. I don't know what I was thinking if they're not parallel. Oh, because that makes it thicker. Oh well, I don't know. But anyways, that fixes that continuity error. Oh, I broke the cone. Oh. Okay, this needs to be reconnected to that. That's fine though. So where's the error? I don't know, but if it works, it works. Okay, now it's... Okay, that's just the way the light is bouncing off of it. How long ago was the nose? At the very beginning, wasn't it? Yeah, there's that. So these fillets are the ones that are broken. Which means one of these fillets was this fillet. And that should be 2 millimeters, maybe. 3 millimeters? No, 2.5. Okay, good. That's right. So then the other that's missing is the internal cavity, I'm betting. Not that one, this one. Nope, the internal cavity is fine. So would it be the base? No? Okay, well, it looks like... Oh, maybe it's that... Yeah, it would be that one. Need a larger continuity there. Okay. The nose cone is fixed, I believe. Perfect. Except for all these random errors, which we'll worry about this later. Then the only other continuity error would be the transition, which should be... That is the... No? Okay. Uh-huh. Please let future past Aiden have done this properly so that he can just change a dimension. Okay, I think past Aiden did do it properly. Inspect. This one is 59.274. 59.27. 59.274. 59.274 inches, not inches, millimeters divided by 2. Okay, that just moved that. It didn't change any other number. Correct? Brilliant. Past Aiden did his job properly when designing this. Maybe. That's fine. That all looks fine. So where's the warning coming from? That's continuity. That is proper. Like... Fillet 11? Where in the world is fillet 13? That's fillet 12, so... I don't know what fillet 11 was supposed to be. I'm pretty sure it was already broken, though, so let's just delete it. You know, yeah, if things are broken, just delete them. Life lesson. See, but it doesn't change the number of stripes because it isn't a stripe. So... I don't know. Let's wait till we turn back on that. I feel like this is too much blue when America's colors. There are red, white, blue, but I feel like this is too much blue. I could do blue with a white tip because the rest of the rocket is blue with white accents, minus the star portion, the stripe portion. So I could make the tip white. This, yes. This is here. Cancel. No? Where is it? Okay, I don't know. I'll just make a new one. This here. This -1 inch. Select this. Oh! Oh, no, it is. Okay. So that was the split before the join, which was here. That was an emboss. Okay, so I combined the nose back before splitting it again? Or was that split? Okay, that split must have been down there, so go back in time to find the original split, which is right there. Okay. So that recreates a nose tip. Okay, that's where it would wrong. That's what went wrong. Before I combine it back, it's still white. Okay, so I have to make the fillet here of 0.001. It's just a number. That fillet right there is just to make the computer think that there's a separation between these bodies, when in reality it'll print like there's not, but it'll make it so it looks, to the computer at least, that there is, although it'll print identical. Nope, don't want to press pull that. My bad, wrong button. Gotta select that face right there. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, a white tip on the blue. How does that look? How do we think that looks? Okay. What is next on the list? How long have we been streaming for? An hour. Okay, great. And we're halfway through the list. That means it's going to take 2 hours. Of course. Why did I underestimate myself? I thought it would take a half hour. Okay, that's done. Remove stars from the fin area. Okay. BMP, if you're still watching, what font do you think would look good with this? My max was 5. Okay, not bad. Oh, and it won't let me scroll down. Great. So let's go into the fonts that I have. Half the fonts don't ever even work, but some of them do. So this is obviously Arial. That's just the simplest text that there is. Let me change this to stars and stripes. Stars and stripes. That is too long. Great. So that means I have to make it smaller. That'll take it down to 18. Okay, unfortunately I have to make it smaller. That's not ever fun. But stars and stripes. Stars and stripe. Star and stripe. Stars and stripe. Stars and stripes. Yeah, font. Okay. Yeah, that makes it have a lot of blue, but I don't hate it. Yeah, so thoughts on font while I work on the next thing, which is the stars on the fins. I need your guys' thoughts on the font of the wording, as well as the actual this format. So it says Air Dragon Labs, but then below it, it's got 1776 to 2026, which is the 250th anniversary. Some people pointed out that that makes it look like it's Air Dragon Labs' 250th anniversary, when in reality, it's absolutely not. It's actually, we just passed the 1-year anniversary of Air Dragon Labs, effectively. Not the business entity, though. The business entity is not even at 1 year yet. But that's irrelevant. Yeah. So, well, for starters, I know the emboss needs to be not quite that large. I do want it to be an emboss because embosses are just better than debosses for painting, at least. But let's try 1.5 mil instead of 2 mil. See if that makes it any better while printing. And if not, then I'll make it go down to 1 mil. This one also needs to be 1.5. 1.5 millimeters in paint. Of course, I need to repaint this. Faces to be the proper nice and white. Close that off. Okay. Yeah, so we need to move on to the stars. I have no idea which sketch would be the fins. Let's go in Open Rocket, because I think I'm actually gonna have to overhaul the entire fin design. Not the fin shape, but I think I'm gonna overhaul the size of the fins, because if I make them bigger, that'll increase. I need to make them bigger because they're already small as it is, and the holes cut out reduce their reduces the center of gravity, or center of pressure, moves it forward, which is bad. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the root height, root chord, instead of 6 inches, we'll make it 7 inches long. And then the sweep length, I actually, no, the sweep length needs to be back some more. Yeah, how it was. I think I'll go 3.5 on it. That way it's like slightly somewhere in the middle. That way it's a little more trapezoidal, speedy. Actually, I think I liked it better at 3.8. Yeah, 3.8 is a good sweet spot, I think, between 4 and 3.5. So then the height definitely needs to be increased. Let's set that to be 3 inches at least, man. In that case, the tip chord should be reduced to 2.25. Not 0.25. 2.25. Definitely not 20.25 either. Never mind, that looks bad. 2.5. What if we make the root the full... No, it needs to be... The root needs to be 7 inches so I can have a 1 inch... Okay. That appears like it looks fine, right? I think so. I'll increase the weight a bit, but it should be okay. So we need to find the sketch for the fins then. That made the tube. That made this tube. Okay. Where's the fins? That was the stripes? Where's the fins? That's the fin pattern. Okay, so this it would be the fin sketch. No, that's the star sketch. Fins question mark. What is the... Definitely not that sketch. The sixth sketch? Definitely not that one either. Fins. Any sketches after that? No, that was the revolve. The sketch before that was sketch 8, which we already confirmed is not that sketch. Okay, so it is sketch. It is the sketch. Okay. No more question mark. We know it's that sketch that the fins go based off of. So we're going to have to turn off everything, undo this. We're going to go and unfix it. This is going to be a whole ordeal. We want this to remain 2 millimeters. That's right. And then we want this to be 3 inches. We want this to be, I believe I had it set to 2.5 inch. And then this is 7 inch now instead of 6 inch. Definitely have to increase it to that at least. Sweep length in inches is 3.8 inches. .8 inch. Not that one. 3.8 inch. Okay, well, hold on. Definitely gotta make sure this stays parallel with that. This with that. That with that. Okay, that's not going anywhere, so we can safely change this to be 3.8 inch. There we go. That's better. That looks like a decent fin. Okay, need to constrain it in that direction. Constrain that to coincidence this to here. There we go. Okay, fin is actually fixed now. Now we need to make the stars better. Okay, we have a lot more space to work with. So for starters, let's move... Check chat real quick. And then save this. So I don't accidentally lose that file. Let's select all of those and move them up slightly. Or not. This is gonna be a pain in the butt. I have to select each individual piece. Okay, that needs to go to the center of the star, which it is. Good. That's not the center. And now I have to reselect every single piece. That's annoying. Okay, move this. Center of the fin. That looks like that's the center. That's better, I think. And I don't think it needs to be any bigger. I think that's a good size for the main star. Now we need these tiny little annoying stars. So they look good on paper, but not in actuality. Move this one definitely outside the grid. We do want to get rid of most of them. I think, honestly, they look better clustered than they do randomly. So I'm going to just move them ever so slightly. Like this one altogether, I'm just going to delete. Because a few stars look better than a bunch of small stars, right? And we also want this to be still pretty strong. So I'm going to move them judicially. Put this one up there. Actually, no. We're going to put it down some. We'll move this one over and up slightly. We will probably just delete this one, honestly. I'm thinking we don't need all those tiny itty bitty stars. Move this one over there. Probably like plus 2 millimeters that way. Leave it like that, probably. We'll move this tiny star up and out of the way. Actually, we probably want to have something that's kind of closer to the top. Just so that it doesn't look entirely barren. Up there. I'm going to delete that star. Move this star up there. Because again, we don't want it to be completely barren. But I'm going to move this one back down some because it's a bit too tall. Can't tell if that's a mosquito or a fly. We'll move this thing out some. We'll delete this mini star. Select this one. Move it. Definitely move this one. Because it's in the way fully, like it's just intersecting another star. Oops, did not need to smack the mic. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for you guys. That doesn't look too bad. Definitely want to move this puppy over a decent amount to like right there. And then probably move you up to fill that void right there. Then we'll move this one a tiny bit more up and over. Actually, no, I don't like that. What can we do there? I like the star pattern overall, mostly. This one's definitely the way, though. Hold on. Move that. That's not bad. It kind of looks like I'm just making stars circle the other stars, though. So, don't want to do that. I want them to look dispersed. So I need something to fill that void right there. So I'm going to move this into that void, but closer to the star, like that, the main star. Okay, that looks pretty organic, I'd say. Needs to maybe move over to the right a tiny bit more. Yeah, and then I can make this star move way to the left of the top peak of the star. Over there. But then that void exists. So we need to move. We'll scale you a tiny bit. By 1.5x. Yeah, that works. And then we will move this star up and over slightly so it fills that void. That's too high. And then this star looks out of place, so we'll move it way down below that peak right there. That doesn't look too bad. This star is definitely too small though, so I should scale it up a tiny bit. 1.25x should be okay. Actually, it needs to go even bigger. Scale. .25 again. And in that case, now that's a little bigger, we can move it up and over a tiny bit. Okay, that's looking pretty good, honestly. I'd say we can delete this star. Okay, that looks much better. Much less condensed, I'd say. More airy, almost. And it looks better, I'd say. I will say that I have an oopsident right here. That band is too low to be a full 7 inches. So, shoot. So definitely need to fix that. This can't be a full 7 inches. We can try 6.8 inches. That kind of messes things somewhat up, but it should be fine if I just make it a little bit adjusted. Height, no, root chord inches, 6.8. Yeah, that moves everything back a tiny bit, but ooh, that's a clean number right there. Okay, what did I break now? What emboss? Oh, I can't even tell. Okay. Great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think of these new star patterns? I think that they look a little bit better. They're less crowded, more defined. I think I could probably make some of these like smaller stars a little bit bigger, like specifically these two and this one. And maybe that one I could make bigger. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Okay. looks better. Yeah, I agree, but I don't know if it looks good enough, you know? I think this one, among with a few others, need to be scaled up slightly because they are a bit small. 1.25. Okay, we will scale based on the center point. 1.25. Definitely gonna have to move that down some. Scale this one up a little bit. 1.25. 1.5. Move. No, not move. My bad. We want sketch scale this at this point to be 1.75. That definitely breaks the illusion. Let's try 1.25. Honestly, I think 1 might just be the right size for that star specifically. Okay. Yeah, those fins look fine. The center of pressure is way behind the center of gravity. Even with 3 E's. The new config, because E16s straight up do not work. F15s do not work. That leaves me with this, what I came up with for the red, white, and blue. I just have to change the white lightning to be a different flavor. Because an F40 is a bit weak for that motor. Or that, you know, F4. Well, okay, so in a cluster, you want all of the motors to have roughly the same impulse. That way it goes straight up. An F40 is a lot less impulse per second than a average impulse per second than an F60. So the other two, I got like an F62 and F66. Those work good, but they aren't they don't work, right? So I need 3 motors. I want them all to be disposable, ideally. So F63, that one is the redline motor. So we need it to be redline. We need it to be ideally a single use. So we got to look at all the single use aerotechs for a red line. Out of all the red lines, out of all the single use aerotech motors, the only red line I can see is this F27, which is a red line, but it's an L. I don't know what an L means. F27RL. But that's a 27. So I guess we could do... I have... Oh no, I only have one. I only have one of these casings. Actually, do I have 2? I think I only have one of these casings. The F... Anyways, that's a problem for another day. I'll figure out motors later. But as for the fins, I'd say those fins look pretty good. What do you guys think? Chat, what do y'all think about the fins? What's the next thing on my list? All right. So I fixed the wording, although I don't have the proper text, so change the font for the name and wording. I need to okay, that. Alright, I need to then increase the strength for the connector, and that's the last thing that I think we'll do today. So this broke at the upper section. The bottom section is fine, that's already thick enough. But the connector point right here is where it broke. So I think what we do is we just press pull this by -1. That makes it bigger, my bad. We need a +1. That makes it way too small. 0.5. That's thicker. We add a tiny fillet right here of 0.5. Never mind, that'll break things. Why do we do 0.25? 0.25 should work. But even just a small fillet will help make things better. Then we fillet this to be 20. 200 apparently is the right number, I guess. That smooths out that. And we give this a nice happy fillet of 200 as well. Never mind, that's too big. 100. We fillet this to be 100 as well. That is too much. Let's go try 50. 25. That works. Actually, I'm a silly human. If I do this and I fillet this to be 2 millimeters, if I just fillet that to be 2 millimeters, then I can fillet this to be 2 millimeters. And now they match, so they won't interfere with each other, and this connection will be much stronger. It'll also help with printing, so that's good. I don't need it to be this aggressive, though, so we will chamfer this. Select a 2 distance and slide that down like that to about right there, because the tube kind of takes in after that, and then we can delete that, or no, is it delete this? There we go. Now the transition is nice and smooth. If we add a nice set of fillets right here to be 100s, that'll change that out nice and smoothly. And fillet this again by 0.5 millimeters. 1 millimeter. That's too much. Not 11, that's for sure. 0.75 millimeters. There we go. No, actually it should be 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter. That's fillets done. Fillet this by 1 mil as well. Honestly, I think that's about it that we need to do. I will fillet this by 20 just to smooth off that corner. Same for this, fillet it by 1. Actually, we will fillet both of these by 0.5. You gotta fillet all your edges, man. No burrs allowed. No bears either. No burrs or bears allowed. Alright, so that is pretty good. That checks that off that list. Alright, so that just leaves me to fix the wording. And then this rocket will be ready to be built and fly again. Let me check chat one last time, see if there's any last comments about the wording. I think this is fine. I think this section is good. I think this could use a new font, but other than that, I think it should mostly be fine. Overall, I think I like the design the way it's going right now. One thing I will say is that I don't know how I feel about the blue nose cone. That said, this metallic blue is really pretty. So it might actually look really good. I don't know. I think it will. The one thing it reminds me of is Where's Waldo? I don't even know why. I think it's just the stripes. But that said, I think that we're going to call the stream a day today. I didn't exactly want to stream. I wanted to stop streaming at like 10:30, so this is around it's only like 11 minutes after I wanted to stop streaming. I feel like an hour and a half is a good length for a stream. So thank you all for joining the video. Make sure to check out aerodragonlabs.com. We have the thrust fillet, or the thrust rings that I use on all my rocket motors there. We've got fin fillet tools that are used to help make the fillets on rockets there. We've got this kit launching on July 18th. We have Mini Zenith. We've got the whole Zenith family. This one will be the second Starlance, so then we'll have both those Starlance kits. We've got Skyforge, the steampunk rocket. The first, like, actually, like, steampunk rocket that has all of the pieces. Apogee has a kit that is, like, kind of steampunk themed, but in my opinion, mine is more steampunk. FC, that's just my opinion, though. And then soon enough, we will have the second ever... Actually, this is a mid-power rocket, honestly. This has got... Well, actually, I guess it's technically high power, because you combine 3 E's or 3 F's, and you get a high-power rocket because of total impulse. But it's essentially mid to high-power rocket. So the second mid to high-power rocket that is not a retro rocket from Air Dragon Labs. After that, the plan for the rest of the summer is I've got a few odd rocks I want to design. I have this from an old scrap pile, and I want to make a different version of this pyramid thing. I think there's another company that used to sell them, but doesn't anymore, and I know that there's a decent demand up for them, so I'll make some pyramids like this. And then that'll be laser cut though, and then I've got some ideas for some like single piece 3D printed rockets. I'm probably going to work together with the Rocketeer to design those. It'll probably be a collaboration between me and him, if he's open to that still. So yeah, without further ado, check out airdragonlabs.com, stay curious, and ignite the skies.